Welcome to Work Life by Design. I'm your host, Mel Marsden. As a passionate entrepreneur with a desire to create places where people and business thrive, I hope to inspire you to find your place at work and in life so you can live a life by design. You'll hear stories of transformation, exploring everything from organisational psychology to brand, and identifying opportunities in your workplace and your life to inspire your human potential. So, let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Work Life by Design. Today's episode is a little bit different and I'm going to give you a bit of a sneak peek behind the curtains of my own work life. Today I am going to be introducing you to three very amazing and very different women who I have got in my corner. So over the past 12 years, I have worked with a variety of different coaches in various different capacities to support my continued learning, my professional and my personal development. Now, these coaches have ranged in style from pure business coaches to NLP and life coaches through to mindset coaches and the more holistic and what I would describe as more spiritual coaches. Now, each of these has supported me at a very different phase and a different season of my life to navigate either a challenge, to uplevel my skills, or to help me focus on bringing my A game in the area of my work or my life that I've needed at that particular time. And let's face it, the past 2 years have been a total shit show. And if I'm honest, so has been my mindset and the state of my business at times, which is why in the past 2 years, I have been working with not one, but three coaches to support me in the various aspects of my life and my work. And today, you are going to get to meet these three amazing women who have got my back. Now, before I jump into giving you the highlight reel of what we are going to cover today, I want to take a moment to explain why I have these people in my life and the value that I believe they have contributed. So just as an elite athlete has a team of people supporting them from functional fitness to recovery to mindset, so do we as leaders of our businesses and families need people who are supporting us, who are challenging us, redirecting us and pushing us to show up each and every day as the best version of ourselves, so that we can then be the best for our businesses, our team, and our families. And this can take on many different facets. Now, I have invested a huge amount of money in coaches over the years, but without this investment, I really don't believe that I would have the business or the lifestyle that I do without them. Now, I think these three women could not be more different in their approach to life and business, and I love that because I get three wildly different perspectives in how to tackle all of life and work's challenges. So today, you are going to get to meet Tina Tower, Michelle Broadbent, and Amber Hawken. Tina Tower started her first business at age 20, a small tutoring centre and educational toy store that over 5 years she transformed into a franchise of 35 Begin Bright centres employing 120 staff. After the franchise was acquired in 2016, she started coaching other service-based business owners only to find herself constantly repeating herself, which led her to the world of online coaching. Today, Tina runs several online programs. However, her game changer has been her Empire Builder, which I am fortunate to be part of. Her Empire Builder is a membership program supporting female entrepreneurs to establish and grow their online businesses. And Tina is on a mission to help 100 women build a $1 million a year business by 2025. Tina has been instrumental in helping me navigate the online business world, which I can tell you is a completely different shift from the world of running a bricks and mortar business. So it has been very helpful to have her in my corner on this one. My next guest is Michelle Broadbent, a business strategist with a 20-year career as a trusted advisor to female entrepreneurs across a vast array of industries. I have been fortunate enough to observe Michelle from afar for a few years before I found myself with direct access to her through Tina's Her Empire Builder program, where I promptly jumped on her services with a desperate plea for help as I was navigating my way out of the downturn resulting from COVID. Michelle has been a realistic voice of reason, offering practical solutions and operational support to really help me cut through the overwhelm and help me stay focused on what really matters. And my final guest today is Amber Hawken, who you may be familiar with as one of my very first guests on the podcast back in episode 4 when we were talking about transforming leadership with a calm mind, which was actually how I met Amber. And it was after this episode that I said to her, I need to work with you, and here we are today. So I affectionately refer to Amber as my woo-woo coach, as her teachings, her perspectives, and her lessons go far deeper into the fibers of our being. As Amber describes, she has been working with humans for more than a decade and reverences our natural ability to emotionally and mentally self-heal and spiritually actualize. Starting out her career as a radiation therapist, she transitioned away from the industry in 2012 and has since explored ancient cultures, different dimensions, and bridged East and West. With a pragmatic mind and a country girl spirit, she has a unique blend of practical and down-to-earth approaches in the arena of therapy, embodied healing, integration, energy, and consciousness. Amber has a gift when it comes to looking at the world from a completely different perspective, which is why I love working with her. And you can hear how different each of these 3 women are and the different perspectives that they can bring to my life and to my own perspectives, challenging my own views so that I can then navigate my way forward with a variety of different options rather than feeling like I'm so stuck in the one that was before me before. So in today's conversation, we are going to be covering everything from why you would even want to consider getting yourself a coach, how coaches have supported them in getting where they are today, what you should be looking for or what you can be looking for when hiring a coach. Plus, we also explore the various different models of coaching and how to decide what's right for you, because there are different options when it comes to this. Plus, they also answer the question, do coaches have coaches? My hope for you is that after this episode, if you are feeling like it's time to level up in your business or your career, that you're feeling a little stagnant, or you're looking for that next challenge, or you just need someone to help keep you accountable, that this will be the little kick in the backside that you needed to go seek out your own coach and prepare yourself to take great leaps forward. So firstly, I wanted to say a big hello to, I've got Tina, Amber and Michelle here with me today. Thank you so much for joining me on the Work Life by Design podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure, Milsey. Such a pleasure.
Now, it is great to have all 3 of you lovely ladies here because each of you have supported me, worked with me, helped me in many, many different ways over the last 12 months to 2 years. Some of you I've known a little bit longer than that. But what I want to do is, I've already given people a little bit of an overview about who you are, but I want to hear it from you individually, because you're going to articulate it far better than I will, what you do and who it is that you help. And so I'm going to kick it off with you, Tina. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me, Mel. So I am an online business strategist and I help women to build online courses through personal brand on Kajabi. So nice and niche.
And how about you, Amber?
Oh, in 10 years of my career, I still don't know how to answer this question. 2 ends of the spectrum. One of them is really deep healing work. So anything to do with from the moment we were born, sometimes beforehand, up until now, that creates sabotage and suffering or bitterness or anything like that that's out of harmony and out of alignment. I support people like creating space and healing retreats and events to help align that. And then on the other end of that, kind of taking people, because when you go from there, that creative flair becomes alive. So you have that life force. So then to put that into action on a vibrational level, energetic level, belief system level, to create, generate, teach visions, dreams on the other end of the spectrum. So I work with both men and women, but primarily women, doing it for about 10 years and a long list of qualifications, which you probably got bored reading out at the beginning.
Amber has a very broad set of skills and I affectionately refer to her as my woo-woo coach, and she's very, very helpful. And then last but not least, we've also got Michelle,
who is in stark contrast to Amber. I'm like the yin to her yang, I think, is probably how I would describe myself. So I'm a wing woman to female solopreneurs and I basically help relieve them of the overwhelm that comes from running a business alone. And that's the operational overwhelm as well as the emotional overwhelm. Yeah, I'm that sort of second brain in their business and sounding board, voice of reason, realist.
And look, each of you have had a pretty big impact on me and what I've been doing over the last 12 months to 2 years. So I think I started probably with you first, Tina, and it was sort of getting into the online course world and setting up what was happening there and how online business is quite different to what you do in, the real bricks and mortar kind of business. So Tina was very much instrumental in that, helping me set up and do the Work Life by Design, all of the online programs and things. And then I think I started working with you, Amber, after I got introduced to you, and you actually joined me on one of my first episodes for the podcast. And we started talking about this, and then I'm like, actually, I think I need to work with this woman. She needs to help me fix myself, and we'll get into the fixing thing, because we've all learnt that we don't need to be fixed. We're all fine the way we are. Which Emma can explain a little bit more. And then, Michelle, you've come in to help me as well, because a lot of what was going on for me when I first started working with you was around mindset shifts, having too many irons and too many fires, lots of bright, shiny things happening around me, and really getting that focus and sort of narrowing in on where I should be spending my time and my energy and my effort, and having that sounding board. Very broad, and all three of you have had very different impacts on me for various different reasons. But I think it's interesting as well, because I know I've had a lot of different business coaches over the years, and I work with different coaches for different periods of time and for different reasons. I'm curious to know, have you guys all got your own coaches as well? How do they support you? Where do you see the benefit of having those people in your lives? And Tina, you're nodding along, so I'm going to throw to you first.
Yeah, I'm a massive education advocate. I mean, obviously I have a coaching program myself, but I have had coaches. Like, I started business when I was 20. And so I started from the point, I think a lot of people are reluctant to get coaches for some reason of going, they don't want to seem like they don't know what they don't know. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have people say, I'm so sorry, I've got a dumb question. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why do we have that notion? And I think one of the advantages of starting young was all my questions are dumb. Like, I had no apology for it. I was just like, okay, I have so much to learn. Please teach me. And so I've had business coaches and had private coaches, done courses, done programs right from the very get-go. And some of them I stay with for years. Some of them I just do like 12-week sprints with and then trade up. So some are more lifestyle specific. Some are really specific in terms of, I want to work on just this part of the business and get better at that part. But yeah, I love having coaches. I think for us as business owners, we're in such a position where we're very much in our own heads, and we can overthink things, or we're not challenged on different things, and no one's telling us what to do. It's only us. No one's congratulating us. No one's giving us the task list. Like, it's all down to us. That it's really lovely to be able to bounce off other people, whether it's a community group program or whether it's a one-on-one, and going, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and to get challenged and to get fresh ideas and different perspectives. I just think you can never have enough of that.
Yeah, and so mixing them up over time too, I think, depending where you're at in your journey and what skill sets you're needing to develop or taking your business to that next level.
The longest I had was 4 years. But then in saying that, even when we stopped in like an official capacity, but she's still always, once a coach, always your coach. So she even came on my podcast as Susie Daphne that I'm talking about. And she came on my podcast like a few weeks ago, and I totally got schooled by her while I was interviewing her. She's like, Tina, no, why are you doing this? Like, this is what you should be doing. I was like, yeah, okay. So that's all true. And I was also part of Dale Beaumont's Business Blueprint program, which I think is the best general business education in the country for a long time, for years and years, and still now remain part of that community in a different capacity as well.
And so, yeah, stay in those communities and those circles, because I think you make a lot of friends and you develop a lot of relationships in them as well. And how about you, Amber?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got, a plethora of different people that I go to for usually specific things. So in my industry, coming from like a therapy perspective and then a holistic therapy perspective, but then also a business perspective, I've got all of those different branches for obviously every different reason. When I'm feeling incredibly human, when I'm feeling incredibly afraid, or when I want to upgrade here because as much as like my work is with human beings on so many different levels, I have created so much business in my life and multiple businesses. And like, I'm really stoked with like the wealth that I've been able to create along this path. And I, in a way, weaved through different circles of very much business-minded people while I was doing what I was doing. And that was, in a sense, like really incredible for me that I slipped on in there. I didn't go and look for them. They were just in my world, whether that was in masterminds and things like that I would get invited into. So business mentoring and wealth mentoring really came to me or was a part of my life. And they were people in my world who I was really, really good friends with. So I got to kind of learn with them from a really young time in my business I've ever done. But I haven't sought on the business end, but I will consistently have accountability on my other end because I think it's my work, right? So on that aspect of like healing and growth and therapy development, I'm consistently growing in that area and remain accountable because that's my area of expertise there. Whereas on the business end, I have always been involved, even if it hasn't been my focus. And both have been incredibly necessary to create stability and growth and sustainability and love it all. Definitely different times and different people for different phases, but never without. And usually like quite long-term relationships is what I prefer and what I found really supportive. Every now and again, I'll be like, I might grab that thing or do that one little course, and I'll find that it was almost just to re-inspire me, not necessarily for me to like learn or grow in the sense, because Tina and Michelle, you guys are so deep in that coaching of business. I'm not sure if you find this, but it's almost like after learning a gazillion different strategies and going to different business conferences, like it's the same shit, different people. Sometimes you just need more clarity and to get back on track. Like there's nothing new out there, guys. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
I like, there is, you learn so much around business and you learn so much about how to take those things on and implement them. And it's just, sometimes it is just that re-inspiration. It's like reminding you of what you already know, how to apply it, how to put it in differently. But I also like the comment that you just made there too about coaches having those people around you to constantly challenge you, to reflect back to you what you're saying, what you're hearing, but to also to continue your own personal growth. Because if you're not continually growing yourself and you're not continually challenging yourself, you're stagnating, which means that you're then not giving the best to your clients or anyone else that you're working to as well. So it's really interesting to hear that's something that you reflect on as well.
It's different things at different times. Like I know that, same shit, different person. Like there's a lot of repetitive stuff that I hear, but also what was relevant to me 5 years into business, what I heard from one person, I can hear them say the same thing 10 years later and I take something completely different from it because I'm in a really different place that I love that.
I made the mistake of really early on in business. I'm a bit dopey right now, but that's just like 36 weeks of pregnancy. But I'm an absolute like firecracker as far as like I would just go and go and go. And when I left radiation therapy in like the medical world, my first was like, okay, how do I create business? And so I went and spent honestly like $100,000 on understanding business. I was too green for that. So I understand it now. So like to your point, it's so important to know where you're at, and tend to that. Nothing is a waste, but it was a whole lot of money and energy and time that I put into that I'm like, okay, I've done all of that. But because I was like green in business world, I wouldn't have benefited from it as much as I would say if I did it now.
Tina, you've said that before too. It's like when you're looking for a coach, you're looking for that person who's just that little bit ahead of you because they've just been through it. They're much more relevant to you at that point in time, as opposed to going and find someone who's potentially been in business for 20 years or coaches people at a particular level, because you're not going to get the same level of value out of it.
I know one of the main reasons I don't work with startup businesses in their first business is because the problems that people have, people would tell me the problem. I'm like, what? That's not, just do it. Like, that's not an issue. Just get on and do it. Like I forget what a big deal that is at the start. So I have like a whole heap of startup business coaches that I can refer to people to, because you've got to meet people where they're at and know what your skill set is. Yeah. Anyway, Michelle, take it away.
Michelle. Because Michelle, I know you're a coach to coaches as well, but I presume that you've also got people that you've got surrounding you to, to bounce things off and advise you as well.
Yeah, look, I've been really lucky. I'm a huge fan of professional development and have been, very fortunate since right when I very first started working. Like 19, I got put through the Dale Carnegie program, which is, the original professional development, the OG, absolutely. But I got to do that when I was 19 years old. Like that was transformational to have someone believe in me to go, yep, we can see your potential and we're going to put you through this and this is going to help you. And there is stuff in that program that I still use in my life and business today. But I am, I'm a huge fan of coaches. I had a coach when I started my business, when I left my corporate life and, when I want to start a business, but I don't know what to do. And so I utilized a coach then. And then I fell into, I wouldn't say it's a trap, but a situation where because I am surrounded by so many brilliant coaches, like they were my clients. So I was getting a lot of, insights and advice and that kind of thing from them. But the problem is, from a transactional point of view, I was like, no, I'm meant to be helping them. Like they're not meant to, I'm meant to be their support. So I felt like it was a little bit murky. So then I've got the wonderful Tina Tower in my life as well as my coach, and being part of the mastermind and having Tina in my life has been incredible because it's not just Tina's brilliance, but there are some, absolute rock stars in that group who I just, I learn so much from. And then, through Tina, the people that she introduces us to through like the masterclasses and speakers at retreats and that sort of thing, it's opened up like a whole nother world of learning and insights. And I'm a lifelong learner. Like I love to learn from other people and get all their bits of wisdom and mix it all into the pot so that I can then share it with my clients as well.
And I think that's great too, Michelle, because I agree with you. I find that being part of those group programs like what Tina runs and having the mastermind there as well is having those people around you, because a lot of the time people hear things differently to the way that you do, or they bring their own experiences to it. So we interpret things differently. And so when then we share that back into the group, there's a whole nother layer of learning and growth that happens as a result of that, because we all start to share those experiences and we take away different perspectives, and having that access then to other people, and it kind of becomes this little domino effect. And, you pick that up from that person at that conference and this up from that person at that other conference. And I know that each of you ladies all support your clients in very different ways. And Tina, you've got a mix of one-to-one and group coaching. Same with you, Amber, and Michelle, you're sort of starting to develop that out now as well. What do you see as the key takeaways from that? I mean, I've shared my perspective, but I'd be keen to hear how you see the differences between what you see from a one-to-one coaching perspective and then also group coaching. And I might start with you on that one, Amber, and see what your thoughts are.
I'll speak to both ends because I do work with the creative business side of things, but also obviously the other side with retreats. And the reason I love both, but the reason that I see the major benefit in going into group is that the collective mind has so much power in it, right? The one-on-one, I only do, just like most people when we start off, you're just like, oh my gosh, the more clients, the better. And then after a few years, you're like, oh God, this is horrible. I don't have a life. And then you smart on and you realize your impact. And then for me personally, I absolutely love using just my one-on-one sessions for my absolute forte, for the deepest of deep stuff of the very human part of people that I guess deals with the aspect of us that doesn't matter how amazing our strategy is or what our coaches are. If you've got something deep down inside of you that's like sabotaging or creating resistance or whatever, that needs to be worked with. So that's what I like, that I leave my one-on-one space which is very minimal specifically for that. And then the rest I place into the community and trust in like the power of the collective. I don't like that. It's not just me that has the answers, understanding the group, understanding the commitment, understanding the accountability and the mind that goes into that, both in a space of community, whether it's like coming from a retreat, like healing retreat perspective or growth perspective there, or in business, because it's just exceptional, especially and with our men retreats. It's amazing to see that brotherhood together. When you have women together in either a healing space or in a business space, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game, and it is exceptional. It is unstoppable. It is powerful. It is necessary for the world, and there's nothing comparable. So, to kind of summarize there, you can't get from one-on-one what you can get from community. However, I still see the benefit in it when it's necessary.
And I know from being part of your group programs too, Amber, having access to you, I think, was it 2 or 3 one-on-one sessions that we had over the course of sort of 6 to 9 months. So it's when you really need to dive into those deeper things and sort of unpack that in a little bit more detail. And Tina, you operate in a similar way with your mastermind as well.
Yeah, I think if people are listening to this, from a coaching perspective, it'd be really handy to know. So I was in the situation last year, I got myself to 27 private coaching clients and oh my gosh, I nearly died. And I'm thinking like I'm doing the maths on the time and I'm like, I got plenty of time for that. Like I can do that. But the energy of the space that you hold and how obsessed I become with people's businesses, in that I'd be out with the kids and have an idea for someone's business being like, oh my God, she needs to do that. And then I get on it, like I cannot do things by halves. And I will admit to I thought that my group program was the poor cousin of the one-on-one coaching, and going, you know what, the one-on-one is where it's at, but the group, can a group ever be as good as one-on-one? Biggest lesson that I have learned in the last year is that the group is better. And I'm not saying that because I want to funnel people into the group, not the one-on-ones. But what I did not realize, and this was probably, Amber would probably say it's my ego talking, because that's what my woo-woo coach said, is that I thought I had to be the one with all the answers, and that if I was giving any of that power away, then I didn't deserve to be where I was and I wasn't good enough to be where I was. And what I have learned is that beautiful perspective shift that everybody has, but also the power of reciprocity. So I've seen so many people's businesses grow by partnering with one another, and the power of that group, that in a one-on-one setting, they never get to talk with the other clients. And so not only are they getting that part, but it's also seeing proof of what's possible. Because it's one thing for me to say to people, you can build the 6-figure online course launch or whatever it is that we're going for. But there's some people that are like, I don't know if that's possible for me. And then being in a group setting, you can see other people hitting those goals, and people will look sideways and be like, what? If they can do that, then I can do that too. How did they do that? And then they talk to them and they figure out how they did that. And together everybody rises. And I totally underestimated the power of that.
Yeah.
And Tina, that's exactly why I introduced the group element into my program this year. So, I've been running my Wing Woman support plan, but it's been purely one-on-one. And I love the one-on-one. I absolutely love it because, I think I got to about 25 people at one time. I had people coming in and out, but working one-on-one with them. And I loved that intimacy and the in-depth knowledge. And I still do. I still work one-on-one with my clients, but we've got the add-on of the group program. But I love the in-depth knowledge and just, knowing their businesses inside out, knowing them inside out, and feeling like I can really, really help them. But the other similar thing, it's like at my heart, I'm also a connector. I know so many incredible women and I want them all to know one another. And my heart was bursting out of my chest. So I had my first group session last week, and to watch was like the Brady Bunch, like all the faces on the Zoom, right? Like watching them all. But it was like, oh, so that's the, you know, because a lot of them that had heard about one another. And it's like, this is the woman that stepped out of her business for 6 months and went around Australia. This is the woman who's, you know, like this is the woman who's transformed her consulting business to like an online business, like just all of that sort of stuff. And to see that, oh, these are real people. These are real people. And like you said, what she can do, I can do, and you can't be what you can't see. And there it is right there. You've got direct access thanks to us being the conduit for that. And that's really, really powerful. We can't keep all the goodness all to ourselves.
And I know that happens too, because it's happened in Tina's group that I've been part of. Michelle, I have not had the opportunity to be part of your Wing Woman program yet, but I know inside Amber's program as well, the ability to support each other and encourage each other and lift each other up as well has been the other thing. Because I know when you get us to, you know, when we come in and we share from that place of where we're at, what's going on, and then just getting that group support, it makes such a different shift in the way that we feel about ourselves as well, because other people have been in those situations or can see what's going on, that, you know, sometimes you're just so much in the thick of it that you can't see what's going on around you.
Totally. And I think like the last many hundreds of years have really shaped women and pushed them into like that more masculine edge. They've lost that community. They've lost that, you know, and there's so much around sovereignty, but there's a piece of sovereignty that's always missed, which is like unity. You know, that communion is really important. And so naturally, when you bring people into that space, if that's a value to you, you're going to create that value in the community. People are going to resonate with that value, and that's what they're going to come in for as well, without even realizing it. Like the group piece and the community piece is almost always the one that I think people are they're like, holy shit, I did not realize how much I would get out of that. Even if it scares them a little bit, because they're used to being so hyper independent. So it really relaxes those boundaries and allows other people to let them in and have that support and create that space. And it normalizes like Tina, what you were saying before, had the exact same thought process of feeling like, how could I have such an impact? Like, how could it be as great of an impact if it's going to be a group? And like my own stuff, thinking that I had to provide everything and I had to do everything and I had to know everything. It's like, actually, that is so not true. A, Amber, you don't have all the answers. And B, like over responsibility anyone, right? So it's like really relaxing that in people too. And I see it's such an incredibly powerful thing, not just for those in us, but like teaching the next generations to do that too at every level is so important.
And I think you touched on something really important there too, Amber. I think we get so used to doing things on our own and being so independent that sometimes going into those group situations and sharing what's actually going on and being vulnerable is bloody scary. A lot of us resist that, yet that's where a lot of, as you said, that healing and that unity comes from, because we can all support each other. And, you know, the reality is we've all been through the shit together. We've all done that. We've all hit rock bottom at some point in some way and have an experience that we can share about how we felt and how we dealt with it. What would you say to people who are still reluctant to consider joining group programs like that because they've got so used to being protected by the one-on-one and not letting their guard down?
Group programs aren't for everybody. There's some people that are total lone wolves and don't like sharing, because it goes both ways. The more generous you are in a group setting, the more you will also get back. So I see people that are active participants of our group. They're the ones that get the most out of it as well. And there's a lot to be said for, like I was saying before, with you often being at the top of a business can be a really lonely place. You can feel a lot of the weight on your shoulders and a lot of the pressure and feel like nobody else knows what I'm going through right now. You share it in your group and you go, oh, everybody knows what I'm going through right now. Like, it's not unique, the struggles that we have, and that load gets instantly lighter. So I think the benefits are really, really big like that. But also, if people are reluctant to get into a group, I would see if you can just drop the facade and just get real and give it a try. Because even now, some of my best friends that I have are people that I met in business groups, like 15 years ago, because we had that commonality. We had that, we were coming through the struggle together and through that battle, and that forges really strong bonds, and the level of trust that you get, when groups are ran really well, they're really confidential. I've only ever had to kick one person out for blabbing about other people's businesses in a confidential setting, which I think is pretty good. But I think when that happened, everyone knew what happened, that everyone was like, oh, she's taken this pretty seriously. Okay. And so you need to have that safety. People do, especially in a business like Amber's, like you have to feel safe to be able to do that. But once that is done, then people can share and have that cone of silence and know that they're so supported, which is a superpower.
It is. Yeah. And I will say something there too, because Tina is here, but a lot of it comes down to who's at the helm of the group, because they're, like Tina said, group programs are not for everyone, and there are also group programs out there where, the motivations for may not necessarily be good. So I think if, in terms of if someone is considering it, is to do your homework, to speak to people who are already in the group, who have been through the program, like-minded people that, whose opinions you value and trust. But, groups are great because there is great people running them. I think that's someone who can facilitate that safe place. And, Tina, working with you, I know that you are so open and generous as just with everything. And that is then returned back to you, I think. So, people are good to you because you're good to people.
The same with the openness. If I didn't bear all, people wouldn't either.
And you actually listen. Like I've been on those accountability calls that are going over time, but you're not going to cut someone off who's sharing or
whose husband just died.
Oh my God! Yes,
we've had some serious shit.
We have. I think, just as by the volume of people, we've covered all of life's challenges, sadly. But I think that has a lot to do with the success of the group, is who's at the helm and who and how, and I guess the vetting process as well. How people come into the group, that making sure that it's like-minded, but not in a sort of Stepford Wives robotic kind of, we're all the same. And it's like, oh, you can tell that you're a blah, blah girl, no, we're not like that.
No, it's the integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle, you've touched on an important point there, and it's one of the questions that I wanted to ask. If someone is looking to go and seek out a coach, what would you say some of the things are that they should be considering? Because we've spoken about, where you're at in business and the personality and the style of coaching. What would your recommendations be for, do you guys have a bit of a checklist or thought process around how people should be sort of going through that vetting process to find someone that is going to support them in their business or in their life in general?
Okay, again, I feel like I have to speak to both my industries, because one is creation and wealth and growth, but the other one, and I think this is so important, and I've tried to subtly and kindly and gracefully talk about this, but I think it's in the influx of coaches, in the sense who are dealing with people's intimate, like, even though you guys are dealing with business, it's intimate, and that you're dealing with people. So this is just as important as what I'm going to speak to. And coaches in the realm of, if they want to go into like coaching with mindset or healing or because it's not regulated, and there's this almost like this overconfidence after someone has like a profound experience or one profound success, that they then go in to teach that. And there's pros and cons to that. It's amazing that they're ready to dive into, but it is a very, there's not integrity there. I don't think there's integrity there. I don't think there's integrity when you have not been in either mentorship or apprenticeship for a period of time where you have really actually mastered it, and you've got someone to say, yes, you're ready to teach this, or no, you're not. If you don't have that person in your corner, then I don't know how you can say that you're in integrity, if that makes sense. And I think what's really important is to have that person in your corner. But if you're going through a vetting process, Mel, just to speak and actually answer your question, have a look at their history. Have a look. How long have they been doing it for? Listen to them, watch them, feel them, depending on how you connect with people. Do you need to hear them? Do you need to see them on video? Do you need to do all of that? Do you need to go and meet them in person? Ensure it resonates. Ensure that, they're the version of the financial advisor that has more money than you. Right? In no matter what field they're in.
Oh, don't get me started, Amber. This is where started. I'm going to make you $1 million business. Do you have $1 million in your bank account? No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So same thing, different area. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter if you're looking for a soccer coach or a tennis coach or a business coach, or it doesn't matter. Have they, are they at the mastery level? Are they at the black belt level? Are they really, really there? And you'll know if they have integrity because they will be honest about where they're not, right? And they'll be honest about their limitation. They'll be honest about what they have created. They'll be honest about their humanity, about their mistakes, about everything. And just be really, 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 really mindful. It's a really clear giveaway when there is little vulnerability, or the vulnerability is only ever told as part of their hero's journey back to I'm the best.
Yeah.
And it's not always does that make sense? It's this faux vulnerability of
1000%.
I did this and then I came from here and then I did, but I'm still the hero. So if they're the hero of their own story, I want to be mindful because there is such power in that. And I think it's really important. But if there's no humanity anywhere in what they're doing, I would I won't swear again. I will just go away. I would leave. Yeah. I would move away from that person. So just ensure that they've got integrity, that they are so balanced in what they are saying. They're actually living it. And there's a history of that evidence. And don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask. How much do you earn? Have you actually done what you're saying? How did you do that? You're interviewing them. Yeah. Do not be afraid to ask these questions. You're the authority of you. If you're going to give them money, if you're going to give them exchange and you have doubt, that's it. Sometimes I think it's on the person. If they ask a gazillion questions, you've answered all the questions they keep asking them. I'm that's probably something you've got to work with. But if you genuinely feel you need to ask more questions because you don't have all of the information and you're feeling that that's either being withheld or put back on you as if you don't trust or something, or you're not going to the next level, that's manipulation. And there's a lot of that out there. So just be super mindful of that. You will feel safe with them. You will be able to see evidence that they're promising what they've got because it would be embodied with them. So they'll be very calm. It'll be very in their beingness. And you're going to feel open in your energy. You're not going to feel like they're the one to save you. If you feel that, run the other way, right? Because you're a shiny thing addict if you think that they're going to save you.
Never before have we collectively experienced such change on a global scale. The pandemic, whilst on one hand has challenged us in ways that previously we could have only imagined, on the other, it has opened the doors to incredible opportunity. The opportunity to redesign our work lives in a way that works for us. An opportunity to disrupt, reset, and recreate our new normal. And to help you on this journey, I am so excited to bring to you the Work-Life Lounge. This is your VIP pass to accessing some of the greatest thought leaders in our world of work. So often we are told what we need to do and why we need to do it, but we are often left wondering, but how? How do I make the changes that I need to? And that's where the Work-Life Lounge is here to support you, to guide you step by step through the how, to take back control and design your work life on your own terms. I can't wait to see you in the lounge. Now, let's get back to the episode.
It's a big responsibility being a coach, though. Like, there's different moments, and I know, like, from a coachee, a participant perspective, I'm never looking for anyone to save me. I join programs, and I actually like getting a whole lot of different perspectives so I can choose what's going to be right for me and different things. But there's been a lot of times in my coaching journey as a coach that someone will ask me a question and I'll answer it, and I'll see people go and change their entire business based on what I just said, that I think, shit, that's really dangerous if you don't think things through. And it's one of the reasons why I stopped answering quick questions flippantly on Facebook, is because if you don't have the whole history, like, you can actually give people a bum steer really, really easily without the backstory. And I think that's the responsibility of the coach. And I think that's also the responsibility of people that are joining coaching programs, to not put your entire future in someone's hand, but take the different parts and get challenged on that. So in terms of choosing coaches, most often I have chosen people that have done the thing that I want to do so that I can take that next step. The most recent coach I had, though, for the first time ever, I chose her because she was so incredibly different to me. Totally different value system, totally different way of working, totally different way of thinking. And I was at the stage where I was like, you know what? I feel so supported and like I'm in an echo chamber that I want to be completely shaken up. I want to go, do I believe this? Do I not believe this? Like, I want to be completely challenged. And it was fabulous, because there were some things that she really got me to shift my perspective on my beliefs and question that, which I needed to go through to that next level. But there were also things that I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, the way you do that is no, no, no for me. No. And that is nice sometimes to go, actually, this is where I sit in my beliefs. So yeah, I totally agree. Like, coaches are not the answer to everything. They're there to give different perspective, to support, to guide, to shortcut the success. Yeah, for sure.
So there's that level of personal responsibility that you still need to bring into that coaching relationship as a coachee. Like, as someone going out there and looking for a coach, when you go in there and you're getting people's perspectives and ideas, you've still got to vet them. You've still got to determine whether or not it's going to be the right solution for you. Does it fit well? Does it feel good? Before you start acting on that. Because I think you can just kind of hand everything over and go, okay, well, you tell me what to do. Tell me how to run my life. And that's not going to be the right answer either. What's your take on that, Michelle?
Look, I think, if you are thinking about engaging the services of a coach, yes, the integrity, all of that sort of stuff. But I think even going a bit further upstream is to ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? Why do you want a coach? What are you looking for? And often we don't, it's like that thing where we don't know what we're looking for until we find it. But often it's because there is, the field is so broad and there are so many different types of coaches, as is illustrated just here on in this interview. And I think it's being really clear on what are you looking for help with? What's the outcome that you want? And it'll be different for different people and at different stages as well. I think there's the different stages of your business and the person that is appropriate for you at that stage. And it's okay to go, like, we talked about the short-term relationships and the longer-term relationships, and that's all okay. And we as coaches accept that is the way as well. Like, we're going to have people that love us forever, and we want as many of those as possible. Thank you very much. But there are also some, and I have them, like, it's like they'll dip in, they'll get what they need, and then they'll run away and they'll implement, and and then you see the growth. Then they might come back 2 years later, and that's so satisfying. It's really, it's lovely.
Yeah. And I think that's an important note that you make there, Michelle, because I know for myself, I've gone out and pursued coaches because I thought there were particular things in my business that I wanted to resolve or I wanted to get better skills at. But what I actually found was that there was a lot of personal shit that was sitting underneath all of that needed to get sorted out, that was actually standing in the way of me going through and improving those things in my business and leveling up in different aspects. This is going to be my final question for you ladies, but How much of that do you see in the work that you've done? Like, people come to you because I need to get better at marketing, or I need to get better at sales, or this part of my business isn't working. And then when you start to dig in, it's got nothing to do with what's going on in the business. It's about the individual. And Michelle, you're nodding very much.
Oh my God.
Go to you. Go.
It's how I have,
principle, 80-20.
Yes. It's how I built my business, honestly, because people come to me for one thing. And usually it's like, I'm overwhelmed. I need a VA. I'm overwhelmed. I need to outsource my social media. That's going to solve all my problems. It's like, and then we just do a little bit of digging. I do a lot of digging. Like, I dig around, one of my clients who is a friend of both of ours, Mel, Dr. Christy Goodwin, she says this publicly, and I quote her a lot. When we first started working together, she said, this is like having someone rummaging around in my dirty underwear drawer. Like, she said, because I leave no stone unturned, but I would not be doing my job if I didn't do that. I can't not do that. I can't just go, oh no, don't worry about that stuff. We'll just push that aside and we won't deal with that. Let's figure out what's going on in the business. It's like, no, it's actually, what is the reason? Like, talking about going upstream and figuring out why all the dead fish are floating down the river. It's like going all the way back to find out why. So yeah, it's a bit of a gross analogy, but
it's a good point. I understood.
It's like, there is always so much more to it, and I can give them every trick, every tool, every template, you can hire the best staff in the whole wide world to help you build your business. But if your mindset is, if there's stuff going on there, that is going to be the beast on your back forever, and it's going to stop you. It's going to stop you from unleashing your brilliance to the world. And I see the most incredible, talented, amazing women who've got all the tools, all the letters after their name, all that they've done every course in the land. They know everything about everything, but they're still blocked because it's what's in their head that's stopping them from putting themselves out there into the world.
And Amber, I'm going to throw to you here because this is kind of like your whole business.
Yeah. Honestly, Michelle answered it, and I would just have to back it up because I would be repeating it. But yeah, it's my everything I know about human beings from working with the depths of the darkest of dark of every single human being. And it doesn't matter who you are, because the people that come to me a lot more these days, they're already quite thriving in their business. So they've already got quite a bit of money, quite a bit of success. Everything looks really good. But there's that space inside that feels hollow or empty or painful or overwhelmed all the time or stressed over time. And that's why, the first probably 5 or 6 years I invested, like I said, so much money in business strategy, in business coaches, in understanding all of that, of wealth and finance. And I have that in my back pocket. And what that taught me really was, cool, I've got all of that and I use all of that and I still tap into those resources still. But unless you do that deeper work, the strategy doesn't matter. It means shit all. It really does. And even if you've got an amazing strategy that you're executing, it might work to an extent, but you will sabotage it. You will. Or, something will come in and rip it out from under you and you'll be like, why is this happening to me? And you'll just see these repeat patterns. So it's like the reason that I do anything that I do is if you can clear and balance the person inside of themselves, that's when the strategy actually supports them to thrive. So let's go with Pareto. He seems to know what he's talking about. The 80-20 rule. I think 80% work on what you believe, if you've got room in your consciousness, like Tina, you said before, it might have been you, Michelle. I think both of you mentioned it. It's like when you can see that it's possible, you've created some room in your consciousness for that. So you're constantly creating this space inside of yourself, this clarity inside of yourself, this alignment inside of yourself, this energy inside of yourself. When you work with that, then you apply the 20% strategy. That's really, really, really epic strategy by from women like yourselves. You're flying. Nothing can stop you. But if you put strategy first and you put business first, you will end up same patterns, same sabotage, up shit creek without a paddle, really frustrated, wondering why it doesn't work for you, burning out, overworking, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So yeah, I think flip it.
I think it's both. I don't think strategy is totally irrelevant and out the window.
No, it's super important.
Yeah, I do think business is a mind game. And I think that, you know, when I have people whose launches didn't work as well, sometimes it's got a lot to do with the mind and different things, but sometimes it's just strategy as well. And a really practical example of the mind, like Dr. Libby, who I know we all know and love, like she always says with weight loss, why do we do what we do when we know what we know? Like it is actually pretty simple. And the same is, you know, on a masterclass this morning, I was talking about very simple tactic of going, why don't we just do 60-second Instagram stories every couple of days? Like super easy. We'll get super consistent results. Massive. Now, how many people actually go and do that? Not even half. And that is all because of mindset. That is because people don't feel like they're worthy enough to talk to people. It's because people don't want to show up. It's because they don't want to show up without having their hair blow dried and looking beautiful. Like all of that is to do with their mind, but it means that they're missing out on all of this marketing opportunity because they haven't got their head in the right space, in the right game. And that's when they need to go and work out why. Why aren't I able to bring myself to do the things that I know are going to get the results? What am I so afraid of? What is it down in there? And that's why, Amber, what you do is so beautiful, is because sometimes what we think it is actually has nothing to do with what it is, because sometimes we don't even know a lot of the time.
No, strategy is key. It's like it's almost like the lock that turns everything, but you've got to build your own key first.
Both. Yeah. I like that analogy.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Good.
Well, look, ladies, thank you so much for such a great chat today. And I think you've covered so many bases. We've given people such a great insight into the pros and cons and the value of different types of models, why people should be looking for a coach, how we should go about looking for a coach. If there's one last piece of wise wisdom that you would like to share with anyone, please let me hear it right now, because I'm sure there's one little piece that you guys have all still got left. Tina?
In terms of coaching, I'm obviously a massive fan. So I would go, just find one. If you don't have one right now, go, what is that next thing that you want to focus on? Whether it's a specific coach for a strategy, whether it is, you know, working on that mindset game, or whether it is just joining a community, which is what I'm looking for now at my stage in my journey. I actually don't need any more strategy. I just need to stay the course and not get bored and just keep going on the same thing. But what I want is people that are playing the same game on the same field, and surrounding myself with those people. So whatever it is for you, go and get it. Yes, you have to pay to play, which is unfortunate, but that is life. Go and get it, because it will lift you up.
Nice. How about you, Amber?
I would say, whether or not you're thinking of like business or creating something or getting a coach or a support or mentor, do whatever it is, I would just advise like that invest in yourself from the place that you want to get to rather than where you are. In a sense. And I feel like I'm just rewording Tina's stuff in a different way. It's like, I think it's really important to invest.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like really invest in yourself from where you want to get to. And you might be like, but I don't have the money. You know, you can obviously, I never encourage people to go into debt to do these things if it's going to add too much stress. If you can handle debt and that's fine for you and you still feel open and free to go create things, sure. But really, like, ask yourself, if you already were certain that it's possible, that you could create this, and you know deep down it's going to happen, then let go of the rest of the resistance and invest from that place of certainty of knowing you're going to move towards it anyway. Like, invest where you want to get to, not where you're from, not where you are.
Good advice on that one as well. How about you, Michelle?
I mean, Amber just took mine. Actually, I was going to say, you know, like look for the person that's further up the mountain than you. They don't necessarily have to be on top of the mountain waving the flag I've gotten here. Like, you know, I am actually, you know, the superstar of all superstars. Because the other thing that I do see sometimes, particularly in groups, is where people actually feel super out of their depth and are really, really intimidated by the people that are around them. So again, that comes from having someone great at the helm who's going to reassure you of that. But it's like, know yourself. Go into this knowing exactly who you are. Do you prefer one-on-one? So go for a one-on-one coach. Or do you love the power of a group? Go into a group program, and be aware of exactly what it is that you're getting into. I think just have full visibility of what you're getting into, because no one's holding a gun to your head and making you do this.
You can choose. And it might not be one, like me. You can have three.
Yes, you can have a smorgasbord. You can have a buffet like us.
Buffet.
Yes. So, and and that's the thing. I get different things from each of you. I get different perspectives. And then it's up to me to take what's going to work for me, apply it, test it again, and then continue to evolve it. So I just want to say a big thank you to all three of you lovely ladies,
Thanks,
A,
Mel.
for supporting me on my journey, but B, for being here with me today and for sharing all your wisdom. You've shared some really great insights here, and I hope that everyone who's listening in has been able to take something away and can go and start looking for that next step in their own journey. So thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Mel, thank you so much for having us. So beautiful to meet you, ladies. Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much, Mel.
Thank you for joining me for Work Life by Design. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love you to rate, review, or subscribe, or all three, in iTunes, and share it with your friends so we can continue to build this community. I would love to hear from you, so if you have any thoughts, questions, or suggestions, you can connect with me on Instagram at Melma, or send me an email at melissa@melissamarsden.com.au. I hope this episode has given you a few sparks of inspiration so that you can design a work life you love.